I haven't put a lot of thought to it, to be honest. Probably good for you guys to get it out of the way in one hit.
How's the team shaping ahead of the weekend? Obviously, the Scott Selwood loss is a big one.
Yeah, look, we're just like any other team. Every team at the moment's got a bit of adversity, whether it's suspensions or availability. So we can't worry about that. We're just excited to see where we're at this week and against a quality opposition who's playing really good football.
You weren't on Friday night. You weren't overly concerned about Scott's ankle. This was a different thing to what affected him last year. Is there more concern?
Yeah, I was just not telling you at the time. Oh, look, it's been unfortunate. He hurt his ankle round 3 last year, so I haven't seen the best of him since I've been at the club, really. So he carried it for a long period of time last year. We got it fixed over the break, and now something else has resurfaced. So we'll wait and see how he pulls up the next few weeks, but we'd like to think we'll get him back in the next 4 to 5 weeks.
You also said after the game, when asked about Fremant's midfielders, there was a few to choose from as far as tags went. I think they had 135 possessions and kicked 8 goals between them.
That's good to know, isn't it?
On the weekend, have you got more to choose from now, and who's likely to be the one that gets the tag?
Oh, there's always that balance that you got to have in the game where you try and shut down every player and you lose your own focus. So we'll go through that match committee this afternoon and work on some strategies to try and nullify some of their mids, but we've got to win the ball ourselves as well.
What have you noticed from Freo this year, or out of the 2 rounds that have made them one of the informed teams this year?
Oh, look, the fact they've done it, they've beaten 2 top 4 sides is obviously impressive, but look, you have to ask Ross about what he's done differently. But their good players are playing well, and their leaders stand up when it counts. So I wouldn't have thought there's any massive change to what they've been doing. It's the quality's there and they're delivering.
I guess Freo have won the last 5, but from West Coast's point of view, you seem to be getting closer and trimming the margin back. Do you feel you're right there and can match them on the day, given that? Yeah.
Oh, look, we'll go in with a positive mindset, with real appetite for competitive hit out. But I'm not really looking at the past 5 games or where the 2 teams sit. As we all know, these games it doesn't matter where you are on the ladder or what form you're in. It brings out some special games. So we'll see how we go on the weekend.
You had a 7-day break off travel. You had 9 no travel. Is that a factor?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Sometimes it's more difficult to handle the extra 2 days. So what's harder work is when you get a shorter break. The turnaround's short. So we've got a typical turnaround. Logic probably dictates they should be a bit fresher than us, but sometimes those 2 days are hard to handle when you're not sure what rain to pull, how hard do you train them or not. So it's no concern for us. But
can you give us an update on Zach Clark?
Yeah, he didn't train yesterday. We're hopeful he'll train. We're really optimistic that he'll be available. I know it's not anything significant. The scan is all clear, so he just wrenched. Really, he just rolled his ankle a little bit, and then that grumbly knee, that hasn't been really grumbly, just from the past. He just sort of tweaked it a little bit, and then, but he certainly saw it. Did you see at the game? I think we subbed him out, and then just as a precaution because we're in a comfortable position. So yeah, he's not a concern.
If he can't play, is it a ruckman you bring in to cover him, or do you go smaller? Or
yeah, no, you think it'd be a ruckman forward type. It'd be a Hanneth or a Griffin. Really be one of those 2.
And Michael Johnson as well. He had a light session yesterday as well. Is he going to be okay?
That's really typical. Yeah, he finished the game strongly. He was one of our best. And early in the week, the conditioners run your club, so they say he can train, he can't train. And we'll put the chaff bag on him and hose him down. Just take it easy on a few. So he had the chaff bag and just was hosed down Michael, getting him ready for the next session. They would just look after him. Just a light gallop for them.
Tendai Mzungu is such a good runner on the open spaces here at Domain. Obviously wants to come into that 22. Is he contesting it all with Crozier for Ballantyne's spot there?
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, clearly Crozier and Tendai we took away with us and travelled, and you're correct there. Tendai's the best runner at our club, and he's so versatile. He can play everywhere, and he plays quite tall. So. But Hayden's electric and highly skilled and a great mark, and has played quite well against the Eagles a couple of times. And then we've got a couple of performances outside of that. Connor Blakely and Max Duffy have been really impressive down there, and young Brady Gray, who's been competing quite fiercely. So we'll have a good look at it. I sort of just finishing off the review. We didn't see our players Monday or Tuesday. We typically give our players 2 days off in a row, and our coaches. So we all just got together yesterday. We'll continue on some reviewing today, and then move on. Haven't really got to the Eagles yet. The coaches are getting to them in the background, and we won't talk about the Eagles until tomorrow, and then we'll have our last training session and some meetings to go. So yeah, there's plenty of time to prepare. We're just going through our normal processes.
Tendai withdrawn on Sunday. Was that due to an injury niggle, or is it just matchups for Geelong?
Tendai wasn't named, was he?
Thought he was in the 22.
No, he's in the 25.
25. Just on Connor, you think obviously he's ready-made to go in AFL. Is he up to the standard of a derby straight away?
Well, they're your calls. I didn't say he's ready-made. I said he's been playing quite well, and he's up in for contention. So we'll go to match committee. Derby, I don't see him too different to any other game, bar the rivalry, and there's some prestige in winning against your hometown rival. But at the end of the day, it's 4 points on the line. We prepare. If I'm preparing more for this week than I did last week, well, I'm negligent in the way I go about it. So, and to be truthful, how we would prepare for grand final week is how we prepare for round 1, round 2, round 3. So there's no difference for us, but except, there's increased focus and scrutiny, and they're the games you like to perform every week, or you have to perform every week, and that's the attitude we take. And obviously, we're all chasing the 4 points.
Ross, it's been a few critics and experts have noted that your ball movement's been a bit quicker, opening up in 2 rounds. Has that been a directive from you, I guess, last year or the years before? You've been a bit more precise with your ball movements. Yeah,
sometimes. Everyone makes different judgments. Sometimes the way I see it and other people see it are different. But yeah, it'd be fair to say we are playing quicker. There's no doubt about that. We've had lots of entries the first 2 weeks. I think 58 against Port, 55 puts us in the top 4. Sometimes it's simple maths. More entries, more opportunities. So, it has been a focus, and it's quite evident in our footy, and we aim to continue that. But I suppose what I've picked up in all the commentary, everyone's speaking about our mids and West Coast forwards. They've clearly got some talent forwards, but I think what gets lost a little bit is the West Coast midfield. And we understand Selwood's not there, but even from a few years ago, if you look at it, they're all there. As Pritis is a Brownlow medalist, Nick Nat's a star of the comp, and then Wellingham's a premiership player brought over specific. He's up and going now, and you've got Maston, Gaff's a star into his 4th, 5th year. So, and they're running Hearn and Shepherds through there, and you've got Cripps, who was a first-round draft pick. So I don't see the West Coast Eagles midfield diluted at all, bar Selwood, and so that's where it's going to be won and lost. So I know there's a lot of talk about our guys, and we're a very good midfield, but there's no doubt they've been diluted down back. But we understand it's a significant challenge in the midfield. It's quite mature in there. They might have one young guy, but the rest of them have been around for 5 or 6 years, and we're 4, 5, 6 years, which puts them in the elite category. There was a reason that they were a premiership favourite a few years ago, and I know they've been diluted down the back half, but basically that midfield's there. So for our midfield, we understand we've got a significant challenge.
Ross, without Brian Crowley in your midfield, has that made you more attacking this season, rather than that pure negating player in the sense?
I don't think more attacking, but it's given us... we tagged first week, we didn't tag in the second week. We didn't tag Steve Johnson, so... We'll be horses for courses. We'll look at that. We haven't made a final decision. Oh, look, Shuey, he's handy, So, Shuey, Gaff, Pritis, they're elite players. So, we'll have a really good look at that. And we also know if their ability to score heavily if they get outside you is really strong. And obviously Kennedy and Lacroix, those types are quite elite. The dilution's been obviously with Darling and the key defenders, which is challenging. But we know ourselves, even if we go back to 2013, no Sandilands, no Pavlich, no McFarlane, those sort of things. But our midfield was basically intact. If your midfield stays intact, you have every chance to deliver, and that's how I see the Eagles. Their midfield's pretty much intact, so that's what's going to make it a really difficult challenge.
Ross, one criticism of the Eagles midfield in recent years has been their lack of speed. Just from an opposition coach's point of view, has there been any merit to that? Is that?
Well, we're not a quick midfielder. I'm not here to critique West Coast, we prepare for their very best, and their very best is fantastic. So, look, just because the critics are right, it doesn't make it right, you know. So, I just worry about what I think, and I got enormous respect for them.
Adam, what's the plan for Nat Fyfe? He's in brilliant form.
We haven't gone through that yet. Sometimes players strike some form that's hard to stop. He's a player that can handle run withs as well as playing head to head on good players. So we've identified some areas that he's elite at, which I'm sure all you guys have seen as well. But he's running with some pretty good company, and I would have thought the ruck duel is going to be an important one as well.
When he goes forward, though, it can sometimes hurt the tagger because of his contested marking. But Matt Rose is not too shabby in that area. Is that probably the likely matchup, do you think?
Oh, look, we haven't gone through that yet. Matt Rose has done it for 3/4 of his career, albeit against the Brownlow medalist last week with Chris Judd. But we need to look at what best matchup is for all of their midfield. And there has got to be a little bit of their best versus our best, and see how you go, because you can't spend every minute planning and plotting on what the opposition are doing. You've got to do your own thing as well. So we'll find that balance, and obviously he's a good player and he's in rare form, but he's not on his own.
What was Matt Rose's response, I guess, when you asked him to go into Juddy last week?
Oh, look, I think he's. We did plan a little bit pre-season that we might not have some players available. Mark Hutchings finished off the year in that role last year. We're really happy with his progression. He unfortunately hasn't been available for us throughout pre-season, and along with Scott. So we've planned a little bit on what we need to do if we have to try and shut someone down. So we prepared for that over pre-season, and we called upon it on the weekend.
Going too much away, but Tunbridge played a unique role forward last week. He's going to be at least a forced change. What are the options you've got at your disposal there?
Yeah, a little disappointed to lose him, to be honest. He was just starting to find some form, but look, he's out for an extended period of time now, so we've got to find someone to fill the role. It was his first game for the year, so Josh Hill's playing quite well at reserve level. Tom Lamb's a young player coming through who plays a similar position, so there's a few options available.
And if Xavier's hamstring taking a bit longer than expected?
Oh, look, he's a delicate flower, Ellis. We need to manage his body in the best way. Excuse me. We want to get a good year out of him, and we don't want to rush him back too soon.
And we'll talk about your accuracy in front of the goal this year. You've obviously been getting good shots from position of the ground. How much has that been used because of your use of the corridor, and have you been trying to use the corridor more this year?
Look, you always want to have shots from the corridor, but Josh Kennedy's an elite kick, so to get it in his hands and your goal kicking is going to look good. We've done a lot of work over pre-season, and since I've got here on goal kicking, we'd have to do it every training session, like most clubs do now, but it's something that we've really worked hard on, and it's paid us back in the first 2 rounds.
Have you been trying to get the ball in the corridor more consciously this year?
Oh, look, it's, horses for courses, really. I mean, ideally you'd like to get your shots from directly in front, and that's every team's focus. Doesn't always happen that way, but the first couple of rounds and at stages last year we got some good avenue through the corridor and took that advantage, but that's not to say it happens every week.
Adam, you mentioned the ruck before, with Nick Nat and Sandilands, completely sort of different players, both rucks but in different styles. How much do you tell Nick to just play to his strengths, or how much of it is negating what Aaron can do as well? And Ross, I'd like your thoughts on it as well, I suppose.
I think it's a really good battle. It's two different types of ruckmen, two A-graders who on their day can win a game off their own boot, not necessarily through possessions, but through the way they go about it and the delivery they can give their mids. So we can see that as a significant battle. I reckon Sandlands has won his fair share, and Nick has won his fair share as well. So we've also got Scott Lysett there, and obviously we'll see what happens with the second ruck for Fremantle, but that's going to be a really interesting battle.
Ross? Same question.
Yeah, sorry, can you just repeat?
So Aaron and Nick, very different styles, obviously both very good ruckmen. How much of it is about negating the other player, and how much is it playing to your strengths?
Well, you're trying to maximise yours and minimise theirs, quite simply. And Simon Eastor's our ruck coach, so he used to be at the Eagles for a while, so he'll have a deep understanding of what Nick likes and doesn't like, and so they'll work together and just try and sort of negate, but still try and bring their strengths to the table. So the best laid plans of mice and men don't always work, so they'll have to adjust on the run. But look, they're both significant players in their own right, and that battle's going to be a crucial battle.
Is Luke McFarlane the likely one to go to Josh Kennedy?
Yeah, you would think so. But we mix and match. I mean, we had a really tall front half against us last week. I mean, Hawkins and Clark are handy players, and throwing Stanley, so we're comfortable if we put the heat on up the field that we'll handle that, and it's certainly given the opposition some more than they used to, worrying about our bounce out with Ibbotson and Johnson. I mean, they normally play running players, so it's a bit like the Eagles, same principle, you know. So yeah, Luke's the likely one, but we'll mix and match depending on ground position and what they're trying to do.
Adam, Nick Nat hasn't taken a mark this year. Is that just the way you guys use him? Is that how he fits into the game plan, or is he just not in the right spot? So obviously he's playing well, but that's just one part that seems to be missing.
Yeah, I'm not particularly worried about that, to be honest. Ideally, you want your talls to take marks and connect at certain stages, but I think his influence on the first two games has been pretty good. So number one priority is probably not to do that, but I haven't told him don't mark the ball. He just hasn't taken the most of his opportunities in that area. I think he's got his hands on it 3 or 4 times in a contested situation, and it's something we're working on around the grounds, how to connect throughout the midfield as well, but it's not number one priority.
Adam, is there an upside to losing the tall backs? Are you in a position to get a little bit more run and rebound out of defence and perhaps not be as reliant on Shannon Hurn for that?
Oh, look, it's a good question. Yeah, we are a bit smaller than we have been in the past down back. Obviously losing Brown as well, he's 195 centimetres. So, we lose some talls, opportunity for some others, and yeah, we're looking at it in a different way, and we can see it as a positive as well. So it's something we've got to develop. We've lost those players for the year, so there's some strength in what we've got in our back half of them.
Elliot Yeo was trialled in the pre-season game against Pav. Wasn't too bad, but Pav's a 3-time Ross Glendenning medalist, so obviously loves this big stage. Do you give Elliot the role again, or do you look at maybe a Jeremy McGovern in just his 15th game, a big task? Yeah,
we'll have a look at it. Once again, it will be a collective unit that'll play down there, take that responsibility. We've been happy with Elliot. Eventually we see him in the midfield, and unfortunately through circumstances we've put him down back, but we think his run and carry off the half-back line is important for us. At the same token, he's got to play tall as well. So he's a 190 centimetre plus player that we see in the long run being a powerful midfielder, and at the moment he's doing a role for us down back.
Adam, just on the Derby experience, you had your first taste of it last year. What did you make of it all, and what were some?
Well, I didn't like it. We didn't win. We got these guys twice a year, so just like every game, we're striving for the 4 points. Unfortunately, in the last 4 or 5 occasions, we haven't got the chocolates. It's an exciting game for the town, for the city, for the state, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
With the external build-up, do you somehow embrace that, or do you try to recruit the team away from all of that?
No, don't change anything.
Ross, you've often talked about getting a spread of goal kickers. You're getting that at the moment, aren't you, with your midfield hitting the scoreboard?
Yeah, and probably over the last 12 months, to be truthful. I think we averaged 8. Top 4 teams average about 9. We had 9 on the weekend, and so you need a spread of goal kickers rather than relying on one. And just through circumstance, we don't just rely on our forwards. It's with Ballantyne out, but that's okay. But then there's Pavs. Main is 188, so we rely on a spread, but it's a good way to go about it. So if you move the ball well and you pressure well, you'll get opportunities for everybody, and we did that on the weekend. And particularly our midfielders kicked lots of goals on the weekend. So but the past's irrelevant. The challenge is to bring it to life again, and we're a dog-hungry footy club, so there's no silverware in our cupboard. So we need to win 4 points and lots of them to get a decent starting position in the real season. So that's the way we're approaching it.
Just ask both of you, with the derbies, it normally surrounds 2 home games in a row either side. Do you look forward to having that balance at home, that stability at home for the 2 weeks twice a year?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a luxury, and we'll take it, but it's not something I focus on. In all honesty, I'd struggle to tell you who we play after Sydney. So we stay in the moment, do what you need to do, but the big picture, if you do take a step back and look, it's great not to have to jump on the bird. There's no doubt about that, but we acknowledge there's challenges coming over to players and there's challenges going away. So anytime you can get 2 in a row at home, it's fantastic. So for us, it'll be a little bit different this week. You normally roll up to Domain and it's full of your supporters, but it's going to be full of the other mob. But that's a great challenge in itself to remain focused and keep the intensity when it's full opposition. But I think Shell Stadium, or whatever they call it now, has been great preparation. It's a pretty hostile environment. So, we'll look forward to the challenge.